one of the first things that people judge you by, and I think that we judge ourselves by, is the way we look. Don't shoot the messenger. You can go look at, there are all kinds of studies around this. And so I'm not saying you need to walk out looking like a supermodel every day, but I am saying that you do need to be taking good care and cure of the way that you look. Take the example of someone that is feeling badly about themselves because they're overweight. I'm taking that as an example. They've made shows about this. The Biggest Loser, or whatever the shows are about losing weight and being healthy. And, people look good. And the first thing that they do is they go out and they buy new outfits, or maybe they get a new haircut or color, or they just zhuzh themselves up a little bit. That just is that it does. I don't care what it works on your psyche. It works on how you believe about yourself. It just does. It's another very huge, big self-esteem factor.
The Tom Screen podcast is owned and made possible by Ethical Marketing Service. If your business is struggling with Google or Facebook ads, maybe you're frustrated figuring it out, or there's a performance issue, Ethical Marketing Service has worked on hundreds of accounts and we can help in this area. We offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you would like to find out if we can help, it's a free, no salesy consultation call, and the link is in the description. Enjoy the episode. Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the episode today, we have Clarissa Burt. Clarissa, welcome.
Well, welcome to you too. Thank you so much for this. This is so exciting. I can't wait to tell you everything that I'm very passionate about when it comes to self-esteem.
Thank you. Would you like to start with a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a multimedia platform in the Limelight Media, which consists of television, podcast, and a digital magazine. So we cater to solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that really want to get the word out and don't have huge budgets. They're not corporations. So we find that entrepreneurs usually are so darn busy that one of the last things they're thinking about is really their promotion and publicity. So I step in and help them with that, take that burden off, and that's where we are. So, yeah, a little bit more about me. I just became really passionate about the stage many years ago. I was Mary Poppins in the kindergarten play. And so when I got my first standing ovation after I sang Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, I was hooked, Thomas. I was hooked. And so from there on, I knew that in some way, shape, or form, my life was going to be near or very close to a microphone on a stage. And that's exactly what happened. So the modeling years were modeling, and then we moved into movies. Some may remember the Never Ending Story Part 2, where I played the part of the Mean Queen and Zaida. And then I moved into television as on-camera talent in Italy, where I was living. So not only was I on live TV a lot, but I was doing it in another language, which was interesting. And then I moved into my own production company. So that's kind of the trajectory, if you will, all the while being very mindful about living true to my value system and being very careful about where I was on the self-esteem scale, because life is life and it's gonna kick you in the teeth sometimes. And I found out that the subject of self-esteem goes rather broad and rather deep. And as it pertains to people in business and their personal lives, it's something that really it's our sacred duty to be the best people we possibly can be.
Thank you for the introduction. It is one of my favored topics, self-esteem. So I really do want to get into that. Before we do, I feel like I should highlight something, because you've got a dame in front of your name now. And firstly, I don't really know how you go about getting that. So that would be the first question. Would you like to elaborate?
Absolutely. So the Sovereign and Royal Order of Cappadocia, Constantine the Great, and Saint Helen has been around since Byzantine times. And, there are many royal orders and branches thereof over the millennia. I think if we go back into history, we can certainly verify that. The Prince Villiches is Rafael Villiches is still over in Spain, and he does run this royal order. It comes through his bloodline, and they do give out knighthood to civilians. And I was honored with knighthood last year in June in Las Vegas. So they flew over and they knighted 24 of us for different reasons. I think the mostly for me, you know, what I didn't know at the time also, Thomas, is that St. Helen was Constantine the Great's mother. And St. Helen is the patron saint of mothers as well. So it was they fall under the realm, you know, the Catholic realm under the Vatican, and they also help people all over the world. And that's where, you know, they had me at hello when I found out what it was really all about. It's not about the title, it's about what we're doing with it. And so that's kind of how that happened. I was nominated, my nomination passed, and so there you have it. Yeah, it was an extraordinary honor, and I take it very seriously.
Were you told explicitly why you got the title or the award?
It's because of the social work that I have done. I also had 2 private audiences with Pope John Paul along the way. And it was for the social work that I had done. You know, I've never been married and I don't have children. And when I was living in Italy for those 30 years, on the weekends, mostly as I was working and being, you know, I was also had my own production company and what else. But I was working on television, had my own production company, but the weekends were rather long, you know, when you, and sometimes. And so I gave my time to the various charities around the country. You know, a lot of times they'll have events and the organizations will give charity balls or whatever it was, even the smallest of events. And they'd call me and ask me if I would be present. Would I come to, you know, to give that celebrity, I guess, factor to their event? The answer was always yes. I never got a dime for it. I never wanted to be paid for it. In fact, I would ask them, please don't give me the plaque and the flowers, and just keep the money for the cause. But I always got the plaque and the flowers. And so yeah, I guess the word got out that, you know, if you needed somebody for you know, for charities and to bring awareness to your cause, that Clarissa would always say yes. And that's my way of giving back. When we talk about, when I bring it back to self-esteem and the 4 pillars of self-esteem that I greatly believe in, that is look good, feel good, be good, and greater good. And so this is the part of the greater good process pillar that I tout and I spout and I walk and I talk. So yeah.
Well done, and congratulations on all that.
Thank you very
Before
much.
I sort of ask more about self-esteem, you got a lot going on in your profile. You're very, very busy, and lots of stuff which I actually haven't seen in other profiles before. What drives that?
You know, and if you ask me, I don't think I'm doing enough. So I don't really know. I guess it's a personality trait. It's a personality style. It's a lifestyle for me. I've always been high energy. I always, you know, I don't always get it right. I've certainly made my mistakes along the way. One of them being, you know, living in fear and not having the courage to plow through that fear. I'd be, I think, much farther along had I not, you know, stopped to let's say, smell the flowers every once in a while, which really means I needed time to process what the next steps were going to be when I knew all along what they were going to be. And so I don't know what really drives that. I just know that I love media. I love doing what we're doing. I love talking to people, interviewing people. I love being on a stage. I love communication. I'm a talker, Thomas. So, you know, they told me that I was vaccinated with a phonograph needle when I was a baby. So, you know, I was always a talker, and I just loved, you know, I was the one as a kid that I'd always put on the plays. You know, I was the director, and I brought all the kids from the neighborhood, and now you're going to be the mom, and you're going to be the dad, and you're going to say this, and you're going to say that, and I'd have a ball doing those sorts of things. It was just kind of, it's just in me, Thomas, to want to to always be active and to be, again, when we bring it back to self-esteem, be a better person tomorrow than I am today. And so what am I going to do today, that's going to make that happen? Do I have to make a phone call? Do I have to tell somebody I love them? Do I have to drink an extra glass of water? Like, under the 4 pillars of self-esteem, pick one. It doesn't have to be a huge gesture, but sometimes it's just, holding an elevator door open for someone, allowing somebody to get in, let them go if they're in that big of a hurry in traffic, just being more, I think if we were kinder in our ways, this would be a much better place to live. As I bring it back to self-esteem, one of the most important things I think that we can all bring to the table is our value system. And if I were to ask most people right now, give me your top 4 values, I think I'd hear silence, because I don't think many people think about what their value system is. I don't think that they ask themselves what their value system is. And a lot of people, I don't even know if they know what values are. And so if you were to list them, right? So mine, I took and listed my values. And it's what I call taking the high road, which is honesty, integrity, gratitude, and honor. Honesty is, self-explanatory, radically honest. If we could imagine a world, if we would live in a world where everyone was radically honest. Just imagine, you can't even fathom if everyone was radically honest. Integrity, well, okay. Who are you when nobody else is watching? Who are you when you have no one else to be accountable to? Who are you when you're untangling the Christmas lights, I guess? You bring it home that way. Gratitude, we all know what that is. Give me the top 10 things you're thankful for right now. And people need to be able to spout that off with no hesitation, because too many people are bitching, moaning, complaining about what they don't have, as opposed to being really happy for what they do have. And then the last one being honor. And honor is something that we usually attribute with, we're talking about military and the military, and honor is something that really goes much deeper than that. That is, again, who are you when nobody else is in the room? Who are you? How do you treat people that can do nothing for you? How do you treat those people? And is it, I was on Survivor. I think everyone may be familiar with the show Survivor. I was on Celebrity Survivor in Italy in 2011, and they took us to Nicaragua. And I didn't want to go, and I fought going, but that's a longer story that I digress. But so we get to the island, and one of the exercises is we're at a heliport, and they're taking the whole team of us in helicopters somewhere. I can't even remember where, to do an exercise, to do a game. And as we're standing there, I have with me, there's only the pilot and me and 2 other girls. And these are the bikini babes on the show. They're the 2, younger, beautiful, love the girls. They were phenomenal. We had a great time. But they use their woos, if you will, with the, they wooed, let me say, the pilot. They said, hey, listen, can you do us a favor? Can you go to that kiosk over there and just get us something to eat? Because we're not eating and we're starving and we're doing this, reality show. Of course, the guy goes over to the kiosk and he gets a paper bag full of whatever it was, stuff. I guess it was just really, it couldn't have been, it's just snacks, crackers and biscuits and candy. And he comes back with this brown paper bag and he hands it to them. They get in the back, I'm in the front. At a certain point, I feel this tap on my shoulder and I turn around and they're proffering the food, some of these food items to me, to which I say, oh, no, thanks. Thank you. Thanks. And of course, I continue to look at the vast gorgeousness, high up in the air of wherever we're flying to. And that was definitely a divisive moment, in the sense that, first of all, for me, I knew it was the right thing to do. There were rules to a game, and I would have had a one-up, if you will, on all the other people in those other helicopters that weren't eating just as much as I wasn't eating. It was against the rules. It would have been the wrong thing to do. Now, it was very easy because no one would have ever known. The guy wasn't going to tell anybody. The girls aren't going to tell anybody. And what else it did was, whereas we got along famously before, it put that kind of division between us, because I think, number one, I think they were afraid I was going to tell, which of course I would have never done. It's just not who I am. And number two, I think it really put a mirror up to them Not only did they probably think, oh, look at her, she thinks she's a goody two shoes, but I think what it did for them was kind of like, well, we probably shouldn't have done this. I mean, it made them rethink what they did. Was it a survival tactic? It might have been. We weren't dying. We were hungry, but we weren't dying. We had a handful of rice every day, and we had, a doctor on the island should we need, and we had, the vitamin drink or some sort of thing they gave us that was rationed. But all of this to say, where are you on your honor scale? Would you have taken the, now, I'm not here to preach, and I'm certainly not perfect, don't get me wrong, but this is a case in my life. It's an instance in my life that I bring as an example to, are we really thinking about doing the honorable thing? I think too many of us now, especially in this day and age and what's going on around the world, don't even think about what the honorable thing is to do.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who it just doesn't occur to them, and if it was brought up to them, they wouldn't care anyway. So I think talking about integrity is very worthwhile exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned initially about what I would consider to be kind of work-life balance related, because you said you could have achieved more if you'd have should we say not stop to smell the roses.
Right.
What's your take on work-life balance, considering all the things that you've done?
I think sometimes, sometimes it's an 80-20, sometimes it's a 40-60, sometimes it's a 50-50, and sometimes it's 0-100. Right now, I'm trying to get a new website out the door, and it's I've been on this thing 24/7 for the last month. You're going to say a month? Yes, because we're doing a little bit of a rebrand. There's more to it than just the website. And then life got in the way. So as we're sitting here talking, 10 days ago, I had major oral surgery. So I had 7 extractions, 2 root canals, and bone grafting. I still have sutures in my mouth, and I'm on painkillers. Just to let you know that, life got in the way for a week. So whereas I had a deadline 2 weeks ago for this website, I am falling behind, and I'm running a little bit behind on that. I want to get that out the door, because September is national, here in the United States, it's National Self-Improvement Month. Now, that might sound a little silly, but it is a perfect opportunity for me to reach out to all media to say, hey, listen, this is the month, it's self-improvement. We need a lot of that right now. Here I am with my book. Are you interested? This is not so much as, here's my book and buy it, because there are a gajillion, thank God there are a gajillion personal development books now. Again, when I was a kid, there were no computers, there was no internet, and we had 3 bookstores here in the United States. So we had Walden Books, we had Border Books, and Barnes and Noble, which is still in existence. And there was a little teeny section in the back called self-help, and that's where I would live. I never read a biography, I never read an autobiography, I never read a fiction book, I never read a romance, but I lived in the self-help section, because I knew from my childhood and my familial tribe, what I needed to do was to take a look at what are the other ways that I might be living? What are the other things I might be learning that I'm not getting from the familial tribe? Now, this is not to bash them. This is, however, to say that I know I came out with PTSD from that experience, and I needed to work on that. So that self-help section now, I'm so happy to say, Thomas, is a billion-dollar industry, and it's called the personal development section now in Barnes & Noble. And I'm thrilled to say my book, which I haven't shown you yet, is in Barnes & Noble. That to me is a crowning moment. It's another crowning moment, because there are, I'm starting a new show now called Shelf Mates, the Titans of the Personal Development Industry. So I want to interview many people that are on those shelves and get their perspective on what self-improvement, the whole self-improvement, personal development realm is. All of this to say that, again, it goes back to our sacred duty of bringing the absolute best of ourselves to ourself and to any other relationship that we will have along this journey. It's that important. So, and as it pertains to in business, it's, we talk a lot about emotional intelligence, because, well, not only in business, but emotional intelligence, what's triggering you? Like, where are those triggers? You got to get to work on that. Emotional intelligence and the imposter syndrome. We're always running around thinking we are not enough. Well, let me tell you something about enough. If you look up the word, the definition of enough is only as much as is required. Only as much as is required. Now, I will tell you that the word enough in my world is just not enough. So, as opposed to I am enough, you are enough, we're enough, everybody is enough. I am so much more than enough. I'm so much more than enough. So again, be really careful what you're telling your subconscious, right? Be real careful about what you're telling your subconscious because it's going to believe you.
Reminds me of a quote. If good enough is never enough, you will always have enough. That's Greg Plitt. But it leads me to my next question, which is about your 4 pillars. Because you mentioned one which was to look good, and I don't think I may be wrong. Maybe there's some old sort of sales notions where you should look good in order to make a sale type thing, but I don't think many people are maybe focusing on that topic in the self-development field. So why is that a pillar?
Well, look at it's really the thing that when you look in the mirror and you leave the house that day, or you know that you're going to be having any sort of encounter, whether it be work or personal related, and when you walk out the door and you know that you look good, you've got a lilt in your step. It's like, check, I'm looking good. I've gotten up, I've taken my shower, I've brushed my teeth, I've brushed my hair, I've put on a nice outfit. I think I look good, and it's your first self-esteem boost, if you will. You look in the mirror and you go, okay, I think I look good. Next, feel good. Diet, exercise, nutrition. It all kind of it works hand in hand because that one body being your temple, it has an outer shell and an inner shell. And the look good portion is something that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in full makeup, in hair, and in a ball gown. It definitely does, however, mean that you need to be taking care of your personal hygiene and walking out the door in an outfit that that you've curated a bit, that you look, that you are ready to face your day. I think it's the first check that off the box as we walk into any case scenario. We're giving a presentation on stage. We're going to be at the board table that day. We're at a social dinner. We're going to a gala event, whatever that may be. One of the first things that people judge you by, and I think that we judge ourselves by, is the way we look. Don't shoot the messenger. You can go look at, there are all kinds of studies around this. And so I'm not saying you need to walk out looking like a supermodel every day, but I am saying that you do need to be taking good care and cure of the way that you look. And that's just part of it, as far as I can see. And from what I've heard, take the example of someone that is feeling badly about themselves because they're overweight. I'm taking that as an example. They've made shows about this, the Biggest Loser, whatever the shows are about losing weight and being healthy. And, people look good. And the first thing that they do is they go out and they buy new outfits, or maybe they get a new haircut or color, or they just zhuzh themselves up a little bit. That just is that. It does. I don't care what it works on your psyche. It works on how you believe about yourself. It just does. It's another very huge, big self-esteem factor.
So you would say it's much more difficult to have self-esteem if you don't feel that you look good.
I think so. I mean, you cannot, if you decide you don't care about what you look like, I'm going to say that, to me, that means it's a 3-pillar stool. I think a chair is much more sturdy than a 3-pillar stool. That's just my opinion on it. But I'm not saying that if somebody doesn't want to get up and brush their hair and brush their teeth and take a shower and get dressed, nicely, I just have a feeling that that is something that makes people feel good about themselves. It's the first check in the day that helps people understand, that they're going to have that lilt in the step that's going to take them to step number 2. Now I need to take care of me inside. I go and I have a nice breakfast. I have a healthy breakfast. I know that I fueled myself along the way, and now I'm ready for be good. I can go out into the world. I can be ready for my appointments. I can be ready for my meetings, and whatever, be good really is more like your relationships, your leadership. It's more your finances, or how are you taking care of those aspects of your life. But yes, I do think that it's an important aspect. I do.
Thank you for that. We've covered one which is perhaps, well, my perception is that it's not talked about as much. But what about people's misconceptions about self-esteem? What would you say that the main misconceptions are?
It's narcissism. Most people think that if you have happy, healthy self-esteem, it's not, you're narcissistic, and there's nothing farther from the truth. So narcissism is really the lack thereof. It's a lack of happy, healthy self-esteem. And so you have to be really, really mindful about that. One of the things that we really have to understand also is that there's an awful lot to be said about our familial tribe and what we've picked up and learned along the way. Where are we today? In other words, we've been formed, no matter what age we are, we've been formed from the day we were born. And the day we were born was really important too, because we have the familiar tribe that teaches us whatever they teach us for the first, let's say, 18 years of our life. You probably have been dealing with and not even knowing with a lot of generational trauma as well. So along the generations, all these ancestral shadows, the secrets, right, that have been brought out or that may not have been spoken about along the way are things that are really are things that we need to be addressing, like what's going on with all of that. For example, my mother was 18 years old when she got pregnant with me. Irish Catholic, 18 years to the nuns in high school, graduated in 800 girls in her graduating class. She was salutarian, so second in class, beautiful woman, had her whole life ahead of her. Okay, she graduated in June. By August, she was pregnant with me. That was a big deal. That was a generational trauma. That was something that was really hard for her because she was immediately thrust into black sheep of the family and the shame of her father. Because my grandfather was also one of 16 Irish Catholic kids. So, that generational piece, there's a book that I love. It's called Shake the Family Tree. It Didn't Start With You. And so as it pertains to me, I was brought up to think that any attention from a man or a male was a horrible thing. I was never looked at them. I was never to talk to them. I was never to chase them. I was never to call them, So in other words, they were trying to shelter me from having the same thing happen to me. And so that is a generational thing. It's a generational trauma, right? So being very, very careful and very, very mindful of where are those things in your, and it could have been, by the way, this could be from grandparents or great grandparents, because it's all passed forward. Where is it in your self-esteem that you may have to be taking a look at generational trauma? Another trauma that we deal with frequently in life is betrayal trauma. How many of us have been betrayed in some way, shape, or form? And it's brutal when it happens to you. That's a real thing. And so you have to be able to understand. A lot of times we blame ourselves, and we have to understand that these are things that have absolutely nothing to do with us. As we're working on ourselves and wanting to be a better person more than we are today, we have to also understand that a lot of the things that we are working through are not ours.
Thank you for the answer. In a previous one, you spoke about practicing gratitude. For those who perhaps struggle with that or maybe get complacent about it, what would you recommend?
A lot of people, there's a lot of journaling. There are gratitude journals. People can do that. I love, picking up a journal and writing and getting thoughts out of my head and onto the paper. And that's a good way for me to monitor where I am on any given moment, and then go back and read it in a month and find out, where your progress has been. I think that the first thing that I do when I get out of bed in the morning is just, I really do thank, and I am in gratitude for so many things. And, right now I'm in, I live in gratitude for the roof over my head, the warm blanket and, lovely bed, the air conditioning that's in my house as I'm in, Phoenix, Arizona. It's 112 Fahrenheit outside. I'm thankful for a full pantry. I'm thankful for my health, for my family. Mom was in a bad car accident a year ago. I'm thankful that, she's past that and she's still with me, because I could have lost her, easily lost her in that accident. I had to shut down my business, for example, for 7 months to take care of her, because that was where we were at the time. So there are many different things that we can be thankful for any given day. The air that we breathe, and taking a look around. I don't think that you'd have to go very far today to turn on the news and to see how many other people in the world are living. We've got an immigration system problem here. I think we've got one. I hear a lot about the immigration system also in the UK, because I listen to the BBC and other of the talk, for example, I listen to every day. on my phone just to be able to get a world view and perspective of what's really going on. We've got fires everywhere. Look at what's happening in Greece. Look at what's happening in Maui. Look at what's happening right now in British Columbia. Everywhere you go, it seems that everything is aflame. And people are hurting. So that's number one, is take a look at what everybody else is going through right now, and maybe just be real thankful for what you're going through. The other thing we have to be really mindful about, Thomas, is our younger generations. And, we've got this Dove Self-Esteem Project is working on this all the time. We've got the CDC that's coming out with horrific data about where our children are right now as it pertains to their self-esteem. And we had our Attorney General come out in April with, an SOS alarm to all social media platforms saying, we got to do something about this because the bullying is over the charts, and our kids are being targeted. They're being geo-targeted through their phones, meaning if they, take a look at on Amazon, or I'm making this up as I go. I don't exactly know how it works, but let's say they look at Amazon on Amazon for iPods. Okay. Now they're being geo-targeted by iPod. So when they could be looking at many other things that are not good for them, right? And then they're geo-targeted on that. So the instance right now of either depression, anxiety, ideation of suicide, or actual suicide right now is about 50% in our kids that are middle school, high school, and college age. And I call them kids because I'm 64. So they're kids to me. People are kids. They're not kids when they're in college. Well, they are to me. They're young adults. And that's scary. That to me is scary. That is really why I do what I do. I don't do what I do to say, yeah, look good is not a thing and you don't need to be getting dressed up. I think that's important too. But what really I'm trying to do is to reach out and get to as many people as I can through this message and through these podcasts and all media. Is really the importance of keeping our ear to the ground, watching our younger children, especially our younger kids. I mean, if you go in and take a look at some of the things that the Dove Self-Esteem Project is doing, they target 8, 9, 10-year-olds, 11, 12-year-olds, because you put these devices in the hands of these kids. And you can do parental controls and all of that, but maybe their best friend Susie Q next door's parents haven't done that, and they're all hanging around Susie Q's, device. So the kids are getting the information one way or the other. They're going to get the information, and really, really being mindful. I say, and look, I'm not a parent. I've never had children. I think I've been mother to many, but I have not, and I'm a caretaker to the nth degree, but I have not birthed my own children. I would say to all parents, just be really, keep your ear to the ground, be really, really mindful. And can we at least get back to the dinner table? Can we at least get back? How long are we truly at a dinner table? Half an hour tops. But if we come to that dinner table with a lovely meal that maybe we've all created together in the kitchen, maybe that's a stretch, I don't know, but what a lovely idea. And sit down at that dinner table with no devices, excuse me, all devices are left in bedrooms or they're turned off. And we really just, how was your day? And I know kids go, good. How was school? Good. That's where we need to, we really need to be parenting in that way. Self-esteem is also about reparenting ourselves. But, as parents and caregivers, we must be spending more time with our children and get them off these damn devices because they are on them far too much. It is ruining their life. Social media is something that they should not be learning about life as much as they are from social media.
100% agree. And thank you for the answer, and also for writing the book, because I know it's not easy to get through that process. So congratulations.
Yes,
I know you've mentioned Barnes and Noble, but is there anywhere else where people can get it?
Amazon all over the world. So I know you've got Amazon there in the UK. I know it's on Amazon there in the UK, and it's on Amazon pretty much everywhere in the world. And then here in the States, we've got it in the Barnes and Noble stores on Amazon. It's on Kindle as well, and it's on Audible. So.
Okay. And if people want to connect with you, where do they go?
Clarissa Burt. I'm just Clarissa Burt on social, straight across everything but Snapchat. I'm not on Snapchat.
Well, Well done for everything. I think you've been a great guest today, and like I said, loads of things going on, and all the charity stuff. Well done there. Have you
Thank
got
you.
any closing thoughts for us today?
One of the things I like to leave people with is this, and when it pertains to who you are, especially when it comes to, you know, being an honorable person, as a friend, as a husband, as a wife, as a daughter, and that is loyalty is when you have my back behind my back. And so case point comes to when you're, you know, everybody's standing around the water cooler and they're gossiping about Susie Q, what a horrible person Susie Q is. Maybe if you were to walk up to that group of people and say, you know, I know Susie Q and I don't think she's that horrible. Maybe she's just having a bad day today. I think what Susie Q needs is a hug, and turn and walk away. Not only have you done the right thing by not fomenting, but you've also done the right thing by planting a seed. Loyalty is when I've got your back behind your back.
I like it. Clarissa, thank you for being a great guest today.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I appreciate it.